Hello and welcome to the Redmen TV. Liverpool been beaten by Manchester United by 2-1, as I'm sure you all know. My thoughts after that game, really, Manchester United did a number on us, Mourinho did a number on us, and the referee was an absolute disgrace, Pawson, wasn't he? But Manchester United earned the right in that game of football to play how they wanted to, you know, especially second half. I think first half, a couple of long balls, two players at the back switching off for probably both goals in Dejan Lovren and Trent Alexander-Arnold. And listen, Trent didn't have a great game. He had a bit of a shocker, to be honest, but he'll learn from that. He'll improve from that. And he's not had many bad games this season, has he? I think, you know, I didn't expect Mourinho to set up like that, and maybe Klopp didn't either. But what was apparent was, you know, after they scored that first goal, you know, Trent needs to be inside his man. I don't really understand what he's doing there. Lovren needs to do more to try and win the header with Lukaku, but it seemed like we reacted too late. Like somebody should have been saying, maybe get Emre Can in front of Lukaku, because it happens again for the second goal. And I think the team should have reacted, and whether Klopp should have reacted or one of the leaders on the pitch says, Emre, you've got to go and stand in front of him and make this hard to deal with, because there was times where, I know it was given as a handball or something, he's trying to pull the ball down, you know, and you're not getting close enough and making it hard enough, and he's a strong striker. I thought he was brilliant first half, actually, for them, Lukaku, but Rashford's the one that gets all the plaudits, isn't it? I mean, that first goal is unbelievable. You know, the turn, the finish, the way he races onto the ball and heads it down before all that, it's unstoppable. Lloris Karius can't do anything about it, and second goal comes from something very similar, doesn't it? You know, long ball up the field and a couple of players switching off. Again, Lovren and probably Trent again. And Rashford's in, and, you know, Trent, for me, he turns around as he's attacking the ball, as he's attacking Rashford for that second one, and he's kind of not facing it. It's small margins, I suppose, isn't it? But comes off his heel and goes in, and maybe Karius overcommitted to one way, maybe. But ultimately he gets a lucky deflection and goes in. Probably going in without the deflection, to be fair to him. And he's made the difference. Then Manchester United could play it however they want, because they'd earned the right to play it that way, as I said at the top of the show. And yeah, it's not pretty to watch, but it is effective. And, you know, he's got one over on Jurgen Klopp. He's beat him now in a game that actually matters. You know, he's put pressure on Liverpool for the race for top four, although I still think we're in the driving seat for that one. You know, we do have to have a little look over our shoulders now, and probably not up ahead at Manchester United, and it hurts loads, because it's them, and because I hate them, and because we all hate them. But there's grudge and respect there for how they went about it and did it, because they clearly targeted something that they thought would work, and it did work. You know, it was very, very evident first half that all those long balls were just going up there, and, you know, they were first to everything in the first half. You know, every sort of 50-50, they were coming out with the ball, and it just felt like they got their tactics spot on. They got their team spot on. You know, having Rashford start instead of maybe Lingard or whoever it would normally have been for them. Mourinho got it right, and every single Manchester United defender was brilliant. You know, obviously Bailly's unlucky with the own goal. I mean, that's just unlucky, isn't it? But I thought Ashley Cole was incredible at left back. I really do. I thought he had one of the games of his life, maybe. Obviously, I don't watch Manchester United every single week. If he performs at that level, bloody hell, we've got a good left back there. Valencia equally on the right hand side. You know, there was that shout for the penalty from a handball. His arms away from his body, for me, it probably is a penalty. Obviously, I think Salah has one as well, where he's sort of tugged back, probably by Young, I think that one was. I think there was 3 there, legitimate penalties that Liverpool could have had, but we don't claim them in the same way that Manchester United were claiming stuff against us. You know, there was one where Valencia, as an example of that, you know, Valencia gets a throw in the very, very, almost a quadrant, and he runs 15 yards up the pitch and takes the throw in, whereas we did it, and Rashford's there screaming at the referee to tell him to go back 10 yards, and that was maybe the difference, wasn't it? You know, they are much better versed in the dark arts of football, and, you know, Mo Salah's trying to play on as he's getting pulled and fouled in the area and stuff like that, whereas a Manchester United player today would have just gone down and probably forced the referee into making a decision. Now, I like that Liverpool play a little bit more like that, and I like that we are, you know, almost more honourable, but I'd also really like it if we actually started winning some decisions because of these things, because I think they were probably, or well, maybe 2 of the 3 were probably penalties, but we weren't claiming them. We weren't making the referee make a decision. And you know, I think the way that they defended the front 3, I thought was, you know, fair play to them. It was absolutely brilliant. McTominay and Matic had a difficult game, but you know, they were crowding the space into the area, especially towards the end of the game and stuff. And, you know, we were obviously trying to force the ball centrally, and what we needed to be doing was probably try and play round it a little bit more. But you can't argue with the way that they defended. You know, David De Gea really only makes one meaningful save, and it's not difficult, is it? You know, Roberto Firmino hits one, and it goes basically straight to him. And we didn't test him enough, but that's because of the way that they defended. Now, I'm disappointed, of course. I'm disappointed. I'm bitter, of course. I'm bitter. I'm gutted, of course. I'm gutted. But, you know, this Liverpool side will kick on. This Liverpool side will still improve, you know. The fight that we showed to get that goal back, and you know, the fight that we were showing to try and get back into the game against the odds, you know, that fills me with a little bit of confidence, because, you know, I've seen those types of performances before down the years, and your heads can go at 2-0 down. This Liverpool side tried to fight back into it. We weren't good enough on the day. As I say, Mourinho got his tactics absolutely spot on. Liverpool probably got their tactics wrong. You know, for me, Lukaku, Rashford, first half were absolutely brilliant when they were playing to their strengths. Second half, as I said, again, you know, they earned the right to play however they wanted because they were 2 goals up. One of them things, we will come back stronger, we will win games of football. It's not over, the race for second place, but it's very, 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 very difficult now, isn't it? And you know, I was really confident going into this game, and Mourinho shocked me there, you know. I said quite a lot in the build-up about what I thought of him, and he's proved to me today that, you know, he's still one of the top managers in world football. He's still going to get results. He's still going to win football matches. He's still going to win silverware, isn't he? He understands game situations, and you know, maybe Liverpool were a little bit naive today. Manchester United got their stuff spot on. Should we get some comments in, Tom?
Yeah, so sort of echoing that sentiment there. Owen Gallagher says, lads, heads up, I hate losing to the Manx, but it's only 1 game. Plenty of football left to play, and we'll finish above the scum. We go again, you'll never walk alone.
Well, I hope we finish above them, but it's going to be very difficult, isn't it? And that was a good comment, and you're right, and everything you say is, you know, we will beat them at Old Trafford again, hopefully sometime soon. Some poor performances from some of the Liverpool lads, you know, for me. As I said, Trent and Lovren were probably pretty poor. I thought Emre Can had a decent game. Roberto Firmino was trying to try little things, and it's just one of them, innit, man. Just difficult to take, isn't it? Because it's them. Bob Bobbings, great name. Gutted, ref sucked badly. Runoy Sarkal, do we need to buy a centre-back? We've got to give our centre-backs some credit for what they've achieved over the last few weeks. I think, you know, ultimately, I think we probably do need another centre-back to go alongside Virgil van Dijk. The side's not far away from being one of the top teams. Well, we are one of the top teams in the league. You know, we're not far away from closing the gap on Manchester City and closing that gap on Manchester United now as well. We need to get better in the tougher situations. I feel, you know, it's always a difficult place to go to, but Manchester City have been and beaten them twice since Jose Mourinho's been a manager there at Manchester United, hasn't he? And you know, that's the difference right now, is they can take football games out of your hands. Manchester City and Manchester United can still do that as well. Okay, I'm going to try and find the comment myself, unless you've got one for me.
Panos says, when Gary Neville says that we should have had 2 penalties, you know, the ref had the shocker. So yeah. And Chuck Diabetes, who's a United fan, but whatever. But all banter aside, was a good game.
It was probably a good game, wasn't it? I mean, you know, there was loads of chances. You know, that Mata one first half. I mean, you know, he's gone to kill us off with a friggin' overhead kick again, like the one he did at Anfield there, the bell end. But, you know, I think Van Dijk, I think, switched off for that one. You know, he was on Lovren, but then Lovren has to move into space to cover somebody else, and Van Dijk kind of switched off there, and it was poor defending. He probably had time to bring it down, but he really wanted that, like, overhead kick again, didn't he? There was chances for Liverpool, but not good chances. It was two different and opposing sides of sides playing different styles of football, so it matched up quite well. Manchester United were better on the day than Liverpool were, and you know, over the course of the game, because the referee's decisions do influence it a little bit, Manchester United probably did deserve the victory. Unfortunately, you know, we didn't test David De Gea anywhere near enough for all of our pressure, for all of the good stuff that we were doing. Manchester United did manage to keep us fairly well contained on the edge of their area and force pot shots. I think we had 9 shots from outside the area on the day, and you know, that's, you're not going to score loads of goals from outside the area. It's a difficult thing to do, and Manchester United were probably quite comfortable. You know, there's a big opportunity for Salah at the end, and the form that he's been in to get us a goal back, and yeah, it's one of them, innit? Like, enjoy the video, drop a like on it. Of course, if you're new to Redmen TV and you're a Liverpool fan, do subscribe to the channel. I'll be back in about 10 minutes with my player rating show, so I'll see you in 10 minutes.